Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the Cabinet. Welcome to those in the audience and those watching online as well. My name is Councillor Shantanu Rajwa. I'm the leader of the council and also chair of this meeting. I'm joined around the table by my Cabinet colleagues who will introduce themselves as they speak. And we are also joined by officers of the council who also join around the table. They are here in a supporting role. They do not take part in the decision making or the voting. They can be called on if there are technical matters that need to be discussed. We've got quite a bit on the agenda. Hopefully you get something out of it. And we will go straight into agenda item 1, which is apologies for absence. Now, I've had apologies from Councillor Guy Lambert. Are there any other apologies? I think everyone else is here, actually. Yeah, everyone else is here. Oh, sorry, Kay. Oh, and Councillor Thompson and Councillor Raza as well. So Councillor Thompson is the leader of the opposition. Councillor Raza is chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. They both have standing invitations to these meetings, although they don't take part in the voting. Are there any declarations of interest from members of the committee on any of the items? In doing so, can I draw your attention to the note on declaring interest from the monitoring officer as well? No declarations, none. Okay. Any communications to members on any of the items on the agenda? I can't see anyone indicating, so that's good. Then we move on to agenda item 2, which is minutes of the meeting held on 18th of March. They start at page 8 on the page 7 on the printed version. I'm going to take them page by page for accuracy and matters arising together. Starting at page 7, page 8, page 9, page 10, page 11, page 12, page 13, and finally page 14. No matters arising either? No. Good. Can I sign the minutes? Agreed? Agreed. Thank you, colleagues. Good. So then we move on to the first agenda item of our meeting today, which is agenda item 3, adoption of the Character, Sustainability and Design Codes Supplementary Planning Document, or SPD. Councillor Bruce, over to you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bruce, Cabinet Member for Regeneration and Development. Really delighted to be bringing this in front of you tonight. When I took over this portfolio in 2022, the then Executive Director, Peter Matthew, and I spoke about this quite early on, and I asked about, is there an actual document available that describes this? And he handed me this massive book printed out. He said, this is what it looks like. Boom, put it on the table in front of me. And at that point, there had been about a year, 18 months worth of work behind it. And obviously we're around 2 years on and a considerable amount of work has carried on. So probably over 3 years has gone into this SDP, something in schools, SPD. And I think it's, while very, very lengthy, Appendix 1 available online, and there's a lot to be clicking through, there is a huge amount of detail and a huge amount of work that's gone in to supporting all the other various policies, whether that's the national policies or whether that's more local policies in the council, in order to make development in this borough the best it can be. It links very heavily with all of those. It links very strongly with the agenda item 4, the Climate Change Mitigation Adaptation Supplementary Planning Document as well. All of these things linking together to talking to developers, ensuring that buildings that come forward in this borough, areas of regeneration that come forward, are exactly what we need in the area that we want them, and encouraging those developers to bring them forward in the right way. So Appendix 1 is very, very lengthy, available online. People around the cabinet table, but also hopefully at home and looking at this, may not have time to read everything, but I would encourage people to look at areas that particularly relate to where they live or areas of particular interest, because there's some really, really good stuff about how we see those areas coming forward in the future. So I'm asking Cabinet this evening to approve the adoption of the SPD as set out in Appendix 1, and taking into account all of the work that's put behind it, and particularly taking into account the huge amount of consultation that's gone on to get it to this point. 16.1 to 8 talks about the various rounds of consultation that we've gone through, having that final round last year, and being able to bring that final document, all the iterations that have happened in the last 3 or so years, and bringing that in front of you. So I'm absolutely delighted we're here, and I move the report, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Bruce. Councillor Dunn, are you going to second?
Yeah, I'll second the report. Councillor Catherine Dunn, Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for Climate, Environment and Transport. And this, as Councillor Bruce has said, this design code SPD, or rather Character Sustainability and Design Code SPD, links in and with the next item on the agenda, which I will be introducing, which is another supplementary planning document. So it can sometimes, excuse me, be a little difficult to see where one ends and the other begins, but we are doing them both. So people will find everything that they need between the two of them. And just to hone in on that sustainability aspect of this one, that's really covered very well in the work that's been done for these for this SPD. So, for example, it gives advice and increases the knowledge of designers on how to create low carbon buildings, how to create low carbon strategies such as active travel for access to and from the buildings and the sites that are being developed. It proposes enhancements to existing green corridors and encourages biodiversity net gain, or and explains how you can get that biodiversity net gain, which of course will be a legal requirement. There's also design codes on waste, on circular economy in building practices, all the things that we need to embrace, both ourselves as a council, but also any developer who wants to come and develop in our borough has to take all of these things into account. So I'm very pleased to be able to second this document for Cabinet's approval.
Thank you, Councillor Dunn. So it's been moved and seconded. It's now open for discussion and debate. Anybody like to say anything on the report? Can't see anyone indicating. It is a comprehensive report. The appendix are long, not bedtime reading, actually fascinating. Good stuff in there, but actually really sets out our stall as Hounslow, and gives us a strong narrative when you and I, Councillor Bruce, and the Cabinet and the Council are out talking about Hounslow and talking about our story and about inward investment into the borough, as well as opportunities to provide much needed housing, in fact, for our residents as well, which is so pressing over the next couple of years. So I'm really pleased. As you referenced, it's taken some time, but good things come to those who wait, of course. So it is a very good document. So I'm very happy with it. Do you want to sum up, Councillor Bruce?
Yeah, nothing really to add, just to say that I think one of the questions I was asked about this, someone speaking to on the doorstep, this didn't specifically come up, but talking about development and saying, well, surely developers, surely a council, everyone knows what good development should be. And while that might be broadly true, I think what it is important in this document, why the work that's been put into this sort of document and the one we're about to hear, is not just people do know, but it's about setting our stall out and making it very clear where we stand on these sort of things. And yes, there's a huge amount in here, and it talks about every single area. It talks about all areas of the borough. It talks about, as Councillor Dunn said, all various aspects that we need to be considering, and where the council stands on all of these things, and presents that to the public. Make sure we have our story absolutely clear, that developers know where they stand and where we stand, and that residents do as well, what they can expect. And I think that's why this is important. While everybody has their own idea, perhaps, of what good development should be, now we can say it very clearly. So I'm delighted with this. Thank you, Leader.
Good, absolutely. So the recommendations are on page 15 of your pack. Number 1, can I see all those in favour? That is agreed. Thank you very much. So it's been referenced. We now move on to it, to item 4, climate change mitigation and adaptation, SPD. Councillor Dunn.
Thank you very much, Leader. So this supplementary planning document on climate change mitigation and adaptation is intended to help applicants and developers to achieve zero carbon buildings. So all buildings that are that receive planning permission to go up in the borough must be net zero in their operation, and this guide helps people to understand how they can achieve that. It is at an earlier stage than the previous SPD, the one we've just discussed. So it has been out for one consultation, but it needs to have its statutory consultation. And there is an appendix to this report which details the consultation that's already taken place, what people's responses were, and how those responses have been incorporated or not, with reasoning into the report or into the SPD. So I would encourage anyone who didn't have their say last time it went out to go out to consultation to do have your say this time on the statutory consultation, should Cabinet approve it to go out for consultation. Because it's a very detailed document, and it covers a whole range of things. And what it does, it sets out how people can meet the legal requirements to put up net zero buildings, but it also goes beyond that and encourages people to go beyond what may be legally required of them. And although it may be that we as a planning authority can't insist on some of that going beyond, I think it makes very strongly the point that we do encourage it, that we see it as a good thing from developers when they do that, when they go beyond those minimum requirements, and that we also sets out our stall as a council to say that in our own developments we will go way beyond those minimum requirements, and will push us as far as we can to reduce the carbon emissions that we control. So it covers everything from site assessment. Firstly, is retention of existing buildings possible? Can they be refurbished to reduce those embodied carbon? Transport connections to the site itself, public realm, can that be enhanced? It looks at the development and design of the buildings, taking into consideration circular economy considerations, the materials used, again looking at embodied carbon, and then passive design principles to reduce the energy used by the building. We look first for minimal operational energy, also things like minimizing the risk of overheating, maximizing ventilation to allow for healthy buildings, and minimizing water use. And then finally, looking at external space, how can we enhance the green space within the borough on all sites that are developed? How can we contribute to biodiversity net gain? And importantly, how do we contribute to sustainable travel to and from those sites? So there's an incredible amount of detail in the guide, and it applies to all new developments in the borough. For householders looking to make improvements to their own homes, there is a separate piece of guidance. It's not contained in this, and it's on our website, and that's called Improving the Sustainability of Your Home. It's a little difficult to find at the moment, but I have I've asked that be rectified, and so we will be publicising that over the coming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dunn. Councillor Bruce, are you seconding this?
Very happy to second and reserve my right to speak.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. It's now open for debate. Councillor Shaheen.
Councillor Salman Shaheen, Cabinet Member for Recreation, Public Spaces and Parking. I want to thank Councillor Dunn for bringing forward this paper. I think it really is very necessary to complement our own ambitions as a borough and our own climate emergency, and in full recognition that what we do with our own activities as a council is only a small part of the overall matrix of carbon in the borough itself, and building is such a huge part of it. And I think there's tremendous opportunities to be had if we implement the zero carbon building policies, construction policies across the borough, and guide people, guide developers to do it, and do that ourselves as well. I mean, I remember being on the planning committee at the time that the new council homes proposal for Orchard Road in Brentford came forward, and I remember being absolutely blown away by that development, not just because it was providing much needed family council homes, but because they were so high spec in terms of their eco-friendly credentials and their zero carbon commitment. So, and I remember, and I walked past that development now, it's been built every day, and I think to myself, if only every single new home built in this borough could be as brilliant as those are in terms of their environmental credentials. And I think this this document gives us a framework to get there. So thank you very much for bringing it forward.
Absolutely right, Councillor Sheen. Thank you very much. Anyone else? No, and I suppose to build on your points, Councillor Sheen, and yours, Councillor Dunn, there is a tangible benefit for our residents as well. Energy efficient homes that will save them money over the long run, and it does benefit our environment for our future generations, and that's so important. This is one of many sweets in our armor, I suppose, against climate change. That is so important that we do our part. So I'm really pleased that this has come forward, and I look forward to seeing the results of the consultation. So I can't see anyone else indicating. The recommendations on this report are on page 25 over onto page 26. 1, 2, 4. Can I see all of those in favour? That is carried. Thank you very much. Right, next report is mine. This is the Q4 delivery plan monitoring for Cabinet's perusal. Cabinet will be aware, as part of our corporate plan, we created a delivery plan, which was a incredibly detailed document, a live document, detailing how we were going to achieve the pledges that we made to our residents. Being able to deliver that is so important, and being able to deliver that in a transparent way is even more important. So you will see regular transparent updates of the delivery plan and how we are making progress in each of the portfolios. As a reminder, there are 4 portfolios: people, place, digital and capital, and all of those details are within the report. I will say, whilst it gives you a lot of assurance, what this document is not is a greenwashed document. It is a very true appraisal of where we are, accepting that things are difficult out there. Some of these programs are long-term, and we are looking at long-term change in the council, transformation of our services to benefit our residents for years to come, beyond our time probably, and so they will take time to deliver. Some are making really good progress now, some are yet to start, and some do have challenges, and we need to be transparent on all of those, as well as a narrative on the mitigations. I have to say thank you to Cabinet colleagues for monitoring this very closely. Whilst this may not be the sexiest of documents for public consumption, it is an important document for residents to be assured that we are delivering on the pledges that they elected us on. So that is all I wanted to say on this report. Councillor, you can second.
Yeah, I'm happy to second the report, and just to say, I think it's a really good report. We've really got that right now in terms of the layout. It's very clear for us as Cabinet members, and hopefully for the public as well, and of course our officers, to understand where we're up to with this huge array of projects and things that we're working on as a council. I find it really helpful anyway. There's certain projects in my area, and really pleased that a lot of them are on track, and that's shown through there. And just thinking about increasing our renewable energy, our net zero neighbourhood pilot, which is really exciting, which is about to launch. regeneration, greening, some of our rail projects, all really good. The SPDs that we've just approved. There are, of course, some areas that we need to that are perhaps not on track that we need to pay more attention to. And some of those, elements that are outside of our control. And just looking at one was the utility connections and supply, which is a big issue for new developments in our borough, also for things like our electric vehicle charge point rollout. So I know that you're working hard on that with the West London Alliance, and so it's something we can't take our eye off the ball on.
Absolutely. Quite right. Thank you, Councillor Dunn. So it's been moved and formally seconded. It's now open to debate. Councillor Lillybath.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Lillybath, the Cabinet Member for Children, Education, Skills, Employment and Learning. Just wanted to say, yeah, it may not look like the most sexist document, but actually it is a really important one in terms of our delivery. Quite a lot of projects come in my portfolio come under the people section, and some of them are green, some of them are amber. I don't think anything's red, but I think the point is that it's going in the right direction. And I think to have that clarity behind what we are doing is really imperative. And I do actually want to take an opportunity to thank everybody within the teams who've done quite a lot of work, because these aren't just projects for the sake of projects. They're actually really long-term transformational change that we absolutely need, certainly in some of the areas that we have a lot of budget pressures. We need to do things differently. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the direction of travel that we're going. But of course, and the fact that we're open to scrutiny as well. We were at scrutiny last night, and I think that's the right way to go. Yeah, so happy to support.
Sorry, yeah, you're absolutely right. I should have said that. This has been to scrutiny last night as well and been scrutinised fully. Anyone else on this report? I can't see anyone else indicating. So the recommendations are on page 91, 1 to 4. Can I see all those in favour? That is carried. Thank you very much. Right. Now we move to agenda item 6, development of a proposal to deliver a community hub at Meadowbank as part of a wider localities approach in Cranford. Councillor Shivraj Grewal, over to you.
Yeah, Councillor Shivraj Grewal, Cabinet Member for Communities and Equalities. Chair, I'm bringing forward this report which sets out plans to create a community hub and a campus in Cranford to support our residents in that area. Our EDI strategy identifies those places where we really need these places to make Hounslow a fairer and a more equal place to live. Creating a community hub in Cranford will make it easier for residents to access the services they need. It will deliver a meaningful improvement for local residents to work on to deliver on the commitments set out in the EDI policy. In order to deliver this new community hub campus, we will make better use of our existing buildings and opportunities to bring services closer to the residents. And even on the Beaver Estate, we'll be use the hub children's center and library to create a community hub servicing the southern part of Cranford. The hub would offer a range of support, which would include things like health checks, digital skill courses, debt advice, or help with housing issues. In the northern part of Cranford and the Redwood Estate, we will join forces with some of our many partners in bringing services closer to where people live. This could include working with the NHS to look to ways to improve access to healthcare, such as through pop-up clinics, offering residents support on a wide range of issues such as consumer rights, benefits, housing, and family law through the Citizens CAB, or helping people to develop the skills to need and to thrive. The report also recommends taking next steps to develop plans to create a fantastic community hub in the Meadowbank for adult education center. This would make better use of Meadowbank, and we could also move Cranford Library into the Meadowbank. Under the plans, we would design the hub to be used in a very flexible manner, allowing us to enhance the experience of our residents through co-locating a library and adult education services with a range of different supporting services. This proposal will be subject to community consultation, including local engagement and focus groups, to ensure that the residents' views are understood and can help to shape the proposal. So, Chair, I move this report for its approval.
Thank you, Councillor Garewal. I'll formally second it. And in doing so, I'm going to say a few words now, if I may. Thank you for bringing this report forward. I'm personally very excited by it. I think this is an important intervention in Cranford and investment into Cranford, as you've identified, and it's a real shining example of how one policy that crosses all boundaries, all departments in the council, can really have an impact. The equalities, the EDI strategy was a live document. It was co-produced with residents, and this is a real great example of it in action, benefiting residents in Cranford. And I'm really pleased to see the interventions not only at Meadowbank, but also at the Beavers Estate and the Redwood Estate, two estates that I think need it, but also using Meadowbank to its fullest. It is a fantastic facility currently for adult education. Moving the library in there makes absolute sense, but ultimately what this is all about is supporting our residents and making sure that we have that safety net in place so that people don't fall into crisis and get the help and support, and in line with our localities model. And this is very much something that we will look, test, amend, change, and improve on as we roll out our localities approach to other localities as well. So it's really welcome. I'm really excited for it to get going, get started, and start benefiting the residents of Cranford. So I formally second the report. It is therefore now open for discussion and debate. Councillor Bruce.
Yes, just to build on what Councillor Garewal and Councillor Rajabat said, absolutely the equalities, opportunities element, the localities element, and all these things coming together. And it really is also an example of how our asset management strategy can work and start to work. And it's a really good example of the report I bought a couple of months ago and that we approved, and starting to deliver some of those elements as well. And again, it will be one of those things that will be a bit of a test case for us. We'll see how this works and how things can work through, moving a library across into a new building, and then looking as part of that management strategy, what happens to the library afterwards. I want to assure everybody that it will absolutely be done in consultation and alongside residents, not just something that we decide upon in cabinet, but that's detailed work about what that building can be going forward, and then rolling that out across the borough about some of the other areas that we've highlighted, and then other areas that we can that will come along in year 2, 3, and 4 of that strategy. So really good example of those separate elements of the council, but how all those elements are working together to deliver something that's going to be far superior for the borough's residents and be value for money, which unfortunately still is very important in the current climate. I mean, it's always important, but particularly so. But it just shows that we're, giving the best value for each pound that we have in this council, making sure it's spent as wisely as possible. That we know council tax is challenging for some people, but that we are demonstrating how it's going to have a sizable impact on communities, on individuals who live there. Cranford this time, but there'll be plenty of opportunity for other areas as well. So thank you both for that.
Thank you, Councillor Bruce. Anyone else? Councillor Bath.
I was just going to echo what everybody else has said. Thank Councillor Garewal for bringing this report to Cabinet. I mean, I'm a great fan of community hubs anyway. I think this is the way forward. And I think the fact that we're making our services more accessible to some of our areas where residents really need them, I think is really the key here. Meadowbank is a fantastic place, and some of our adult education provision is provided from there. So I think having services that are accessible to some of our most sort of communities that we consider need a little bit of support and help with, I think it is really important. So I really support this and welcome this. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Councillor Bath. Anyone else on this one? No. So the recommendations on this report on page 173 over onto 174, 1, 2, 4. Can I see all those in favour? Thank you very much. That's carried. Good. Right, we then move on to energy purchasing contract, gas and electricity. Councillor, over to you.
Thank you very much. So, in some ways, this is quite a straightforward paper. So, a report that I'm bringing to you for approval. So, we need to put in place a new contract for purchasing our gas and electricity. So, that's the gas and electricity that is used in our corporate buildings, schools, if they opt in to the same contract, in our council homes, leisure centres, etc., also for the street lighting, all of that kind of thing. Now we are currently using something called the Laser Framework Agreement for Flexible Procurement and Supply, and purchasing from Laser Energy, and we have. For the renewal or for looking at it for a new contract, we've undertaken a procurement exercise to look at various different options that are available to us. And the conclusion, the recommendation of officers, and the recommendation I'm bringing to you tonight is that we do continue to participate in the Laser Framework Agreements and purchase our energy via Laser. So there are some. That's because it was shown to be the best value for money and have some of the best options for us. And there are options, and there are some things we can change a little bit. So what we are hoping to do something called the fully managed bureau service for all of our corporate buildings, schools that opt in, and council homes. Which means basically it's a supported service, and we get more support with billing, with monitoring our energy use, and in fact with our carbon reporting. So it's very important, to my mind, that we take up that option so that we can help to understand our energy use across the portfolio, and then thereby look at how we can best reduce it. It also gives us the option to opt in for REGO, which is Renewable Energy Green Obligation. And this is basically purchasing green energy. But what I will say is that we don't, regardless of which energy tariff we buy, whether it is a renewable one or not, when we look at reporting our carbon footprint and our use, we are looking at the overall mix of what is available in the grid for the country as a whole. So if we wouldn't just purchase a green tariff and then say, oh, our electricity, carbon from our electricity use is now zero, because that wouldn't be painting a true picture. So we do use something called, I think it's called location-based reporting. I can't remember exactly what, but basically it's looking at that overall mix in the grid. And what that means is we will only reduce our emissions from electricity when the national grid does decarbonize itself. But that means that it puts the onus on to us to actually reduce the amount of energy we use and the amount of electricity that we use in the first place, or to generate our own. And we have lots of schemes now throughout the borough to generate our own electricity, and we're looking to increase those as well. So I think we've got solar panels at Western International Market and on various of our corporate buildings and leisure buildings. So that's basically the gist of the paper. The one final part is that all of this is subject to consent from something called the First Tier Tribunal Property Chamber Residential Property, which would allow us to dispense with consultation requirements.
Thank you, Councillor Dunn. I'll formally second it, and in doing so, echo what Councillor Dunn said, and also highlight to members there is an exempt item on the agenda which also will need noting as part of this. So informally seconding it, it's now open for discussion and debate. Anybody on this one? Can't see anyone indicating, so I'll go straight to the recommendations. So it's fairly straightforward. On page 186 over on 187, 1 and 2. Can I see all those in favour? That is carried. Thank you very much. Right, we then move on to agenda item 8, radical overhaul of consultation and engagement, the full business case. Councillor Shivraj Grewal.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Grewal, Cabinet Member for Communities and Equalities. Chair, this report is committed to transforming and improving how we engage and involve with people in decision making. This commitment is central to our manifesto and corporate plan and is being delivered through our radical overall consultation and engagement delivery plan program. This report summarizes what our new model of consultation and engagement will be, model which has been co-designed with more than 1,200 residents, members, staff, and other stakeholders. The model proposes a range of new methods and practices which require financial investment. These are detailed in the business case and service design appendices. This investment is necessary and will bring a huge range of benefits alongside better decision making and service developments. Really important for me is that it will support reach into and feedback from communities which are currently underrepresented. This is crucial in delivering on our strategy to reduce inequality across our borough. Better engagement will also boost understanding councils and our role as a member and should lead to increased level of trust, participation, and civic pride. It is expected that much of the initial financial cost will be recouped by savings over time. The new model will be cost neutral. Ultimately, should have saved the council money through a range of operational efficiencies and better decision making. Some of the key models of this plan are in the report, which I will not go through because they are very clear and straight. These measures, along with others, will help us better connect with and hear from our communities. This in turn will lead to a better decision, better outcomes, and great understanding and trust of our council. So I formally move the report. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Grewal. I would formally second the report, and I'll say a few words on it. Again, such a important report for the administration, for this administration. All of us around the table are absolutely focused and committed to stamping out structural inequality wherever we see it. And such an important part of that is the way we actually engage with residents. And you're absolutely right to point out that there are groups that we struggle to engage with and that we should absolutely engage with because their opinion does matter and they do have a say in the way we design the services that affect them. And it's very interesting, going back to the equalities strategy, that a lot of those groups exist in areas that we've identified as key focus areas, the 30 key focus areas in the borough. So there is a clear link there. And it's so important that those residents feel listened to and heard, and that we reflect what they're saying in the policies that we put forward. We may not agree on everything, but it is important that that voice is absolutely heard. And to that effect, we're already on this journey with the improved area forums that you've really championed, Councillor Grewal, as well as cabinet question time and other interventions that we put into place as well. We are absolutely committed as an administration to be out there with residents rather than them having to come to us, and that is so important. And this business case really highlights that absolute commitment. So I absolutely commend it, and I'm so pleased that it is here before us today. And to be actioned. So really happy to second it. It's now open for discussion and debate. Anybody like to say anything on this report? Councillor Dunn.
Yes, I think it's a really good report. I think it's good that we're doing this. It's something we should always be looking to improve. And I know sometimes there's been criticisms of, oh, you're always changing things. Why are you always changing things? But we're always looking to improve, and we do look to take things on board, and that does mean that you have to change. But I'm really excited about this because I think it gives us the opportunity to hear from a much broader and more diverse range of people and residents from across our borough. We are a listening council, but sometimes it's difficult to hear some of the voices because there are others that are quite loud, and they all deserve to be heard. And it's certainly not to say that the loud voices shouldn't be heard, but we need to make sure that we are getting a true picture and understanding of the range of voices from across our borough. And I hope that this will be able to help us to do that.
Completely agree. Anyone else on this one? No, I can't see anyone else indicating. So, have I got the right one? Yes, I have. The recommendations on this are on page 224 over to 225, 124. Can I see all those in favour? That is carried. Thank you all very much. Right, final substantive report this evening is the revised council's corporate complaints, comments and compliments policy. Councillor Gurwal, back to you.
Thank you, Chair. This report seeks approval of the council's revised corporate complaints, comments and compliments policy. We want to ensure that all residents have the best possible experience when contacting the council. The policy has been revised to reflect our approach. As in the case with the council, if a complaint remains unresolved through our complaints process, a resident can approach either the housing ombudsman if about our landlord responsibility, or the local government and social care ombudsman for an independent review of the complaint. The policy has been updated to ensure compliance and new complaints handling code, which has been introduced by the Housing Ombudsman for all landlords as statutory from 1st April this year. It will also start to be considered by the local government and social care ombudsman in their process from April 2026. We are responding to all key areas of the complaint handling codes. These are universal definition of a complaint, providing easy access to the complaints procedure and ensuring residents are aware of it, including the rights to access the ombudsman. The structure of the complaint procedures, only 2 stages necessary, and clear time frames set out for responses. Ensuring fairness in complaint handling with a resident-focused process, taking action to put things right and appropriate remedies. Creating a positive complaint handling culture through continuous learning and improvement. Demonstrate learning in annual reports, annual self-assessment against the code. The key element of the policy that have been changed are as follows: to record and acknowledge complaints within 5 working days at stage 1 and stage 2, to investigate and respond to a stage 1 complaint within 10 working days, the reduction from 15 working days. And this can be extended stage 1 timescale by 10 working days if the complaint is complex. We must accept complaint within 12 months of occurring, or residents becoming aware of the issue currently, which is 6 months. We have 2-phase approach of implementation. This is because the Housing Ombudsman complaint handling codes became statutory from 1st April 2024. We have been applying the complaints handling code in a complaints process where the complaint relates to our landlord responsibilities. We have updated our website to advise that we are applying the complaint handling code where we have landlord responsibilities. Changes have been made to our existing complaint system, which is CXM, and we have introduced interventions to ensure we can change response dates and capture the data to track and report compliances. Longer term, a new customer relation management system will be used to automate the complaint process as much as possible, and the requirements of the complaint handling code will be used in design and build. As the second phase for the complaints that fall within the scope of the local government and social care ombudsman, we will implement the complaint handling code as soon as the systems are ready. This is expected to be December 24 to December 25. So I move the report, sir.
Thank you, Councillor Grewal. So I'll formally second it. I just wanted to pick up on that point about a positive complaints, compliments, comments culture. It's so important. Tying in with your earlier comment, Councillor Dunn, around being a listening council, we have to acknowledge that some people will want to tell us we haven't got it right all the time. Hopefully some people will want to compliment us as well. That would be nice as well. But there are also comments as well. And that learning and development is so important as part of this. So whilst this is to make us compliant with changes in legislation, actually it's a good opportunity and a good moment. And I'm glad we've capitalized on that to look at the whole system. And that's really positive. So I'm really pleased to second this report as well. So it's open for discussion and debate. Several. Wow. Let's go with Councillor Shaheen first, then Councillor Bath, then Councillor Dunn.
Just a quick point to say that I would like to file a stage 1 compliment to Shivraj Grewal for a great report. Thank you for bringing this forward. Really necessary.
We'll respond in 5 working days. Councillor Bath.
Thank you. Yeah, no, absolutely support this. As you said earlier, Leader, we want to hear more from our residents. We want to engage with them. We want them to sort of speak to us and tell us, their problems. And I actually personally quite like complaints because I think they give you an opportunity. Maybe we're used to it, I suppose, as councillors, but it gives you an opportunity to actually make some real improvements, reflect, and from them does come policy change. So I don't have an issue with it at all. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And to make it as easy as possible, we have to do that. So because we want to learn, we've got to make it easy for people to make the complaints. But I like that positive culture. I also like the fact that we've got annual reporting, which actually makes more sense of what we're seeing and seeing the story behind it. So yeah, all good as far as I'm concerned. It's really good. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Bath. Councillor Dunn.
So I would agree with Councillor Bath. We're all used to receiving complaints, but there's complaints and there's complaints, aren't there? I mean, sometimes people want to have a grumble. Sometimes they want to tell you they don't like a particular policy, and sometimes they have a real complaint about service that hasn't been provided in the manner that it should. And so I think it's really good that we tighten the definition here, that we have a very good process well set out for how we will deal with complaints. And I wonder if there's scope for some member training on this new complaints policy when it comes in, just so that all members of the council understand how it works and what our role in it is.
Yeah, absolutely. To that point, everyone across the council. So there's staff training as well as member training as well that we are. I believe, Councillor Grewal, you're working with officers to put in place very soon. Yeah. So all good. Anyone else on this one? No, can't see anyone else. So the recommendation on this is on page 282, 1.1. Can I see all those in favour? That is carried. Good. Excellent. Right. I have not had any referrals from any other council committees. Neither have I been notified of any urgent business. The date of the next meeting is Tuesday, the 18th of June from 7 p.m. We have some confidential business. So can someone move exclusion of press and public? Councillor Bath, seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Is that agreed? Agreed. Right. So those online, thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully you got something out of this. See you next time, hopefully. I now bring the public part of the meeting to a close.